mentioned here in person, we're going to have a little extra concentration on low back, hips, and hamstrings. So resting here on your back, start to just check in, see where you are today. Maybe starting in this space as a place to conduct a simple body scan. Body scans are a simple exercise that allow us to kind of step outside our physical body and view it from above. As we view our body from above, we watch as each part of the body is assessed. We just kind of tune in, see what's going on here and there, see what needs a little attention today in our physical practice and what maybe emotions are coming up that we can set off to the side for a moment and just let go. Bringing your attention to the top of your head, we'll slowly move it down to your throat, your heart, your belly, your lower abdomen, your hips, your thighs, and then all the way down to your feet. Notice what kind of energy is present in each part of your body, as if you were shining a spotlight on what's happening inside you. Try once more to bring attention to the top of your head, and then slowly move it down to your throat, your heart, your belly, lower abdomen, your hips, your thighs, and then all the way down to your feet. Notice if you feel any stagnant energy, or maybe even pain. And then imagine you are channeling the breath into that specific area, bringing relaxation and ease to anything that may need to be released. Through this visualization process, you are opening yourself up to becoming aware of what's happening inside you. This practice can help you meet aches, pains, stories, imperfections, whatever may be residing in the body, and being put out into the world with an open heart. Allow this visualization process to open yourself up, to allow you to become aware of what's happening to you, how you're feeling, both on and off the mat. Gently allowing some small movements to come back into the body. It's early on in today's practice, so keep them small. If the legs have been long, you might slowly start to walk the heels up the mat, knees bent up to face the ceiling. Maybe you stretch your arms out to the side in a T shape or a low V, and you allow your knees to begin sweeping, just nice and easy from right to left. It might feel nice to have those knees back at center, and then invite in the right knee towards your chest. Let the grip come to the front of the shin as you point and flex your toes, roll around your ankle. That right knee is hugged in close. See if it feels okay to let your left leg go long down your mat. Now, of course, if that's a little too much for you today, you can certainly soften it, bend the knee, place the foot back on the floor. It might even feel nice to start to take this knee over and across the body, taking somewhat of a reclined spinal twist, reaching that hand off to the side, gazing over the shoulder. And then we'll take time, take care, easy, bring that knee back to center. Point flex toes, roll around ankle. Grip might switch to the back of the leg as we push through the heel up towards the ceiling, giving ourselves a nice, easy hamstring opener. And then if we still have that left leg long, let's go ahead and slide it up the mat. You're going to switch your grip to the thigh if it's not already there. Put it on the back side where that hamstring is. And just start to bend the knees straight down into your body. Flex the foot so it can push up as if you were going to kind of try to push one of these ceiling tiles away. And then if you feel okay, you might take your right hand and either reach for the outer edge of that foot or the inner edge. Let the knees start to come down towards the outer edge of your mat, so it's coming slightly out and open to the side. Something that looks like a half happy baby. Now, of course, if that shape is too big, your hand can just come back around to the back of the thigh, and you can just give yourself some space here. Staying steady in that breath, 2 more breaths. Perfect. Take your time, let that knee soften. Hands come back towards belly. Let the feet come all the way down. Both are touching the mat now, knees up to ceiling. And just watch as your breath comes in the body. Your hands will rise up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, you'll feel your belly button start to drift down towards your spine. Low back moving towards the mat. 2 more. Excellent work. When you feel ready this time, left knee is into the body. Go ahead and hug it at the shin if that feels good. Point flex the toes. Give it some space to roll around at the ankle. If it feels good, go ahead and let that right leg go long down the mat. Point flex toes. Take it over and across the body, giving yourself that recline twist just as you did before. Opposite arm might even reach out to the side in a T shape, offering the palm towards the sky. Taking care, ease that knee back towards center. And we're going to turn it into a hamstring stretch just as you did before. Hands moving to the back of the thigh, lifting that leg up, rolling the ankle, kind of playing with the calf and the shin, all getting some attention here. If that right leg has been long, go ahead and slowly bring it back up the mat. Start to bend this left knee so it comes out slightly towards the outer edge of the mat. Heel is still pushing up towards the ceiling. Maybe hand reaches for the inside edge for that happy baby, or the outside edge, if that feels more appropriate. Opposite arm might rest hand on the hip, or reach high up overhead. You can stay still, or you can kind of wrap around here on the low back. Softening all of that, bringing feet back down. Let them join the mat, knees bent up to the ceiling, hands rest again on the belly. As you inhale, feel the abdomen expand with air. As you exhale, find a little length. Pull through the crown of the head, let the back lengthen underneath of you as the belly button moves towards spine. So your inhale is kind of an east-west motion. You feel your belly expand, it gets wider, it gets fuller. As you exhale, you feel more of a north-south pull, where the crown of the head is wanting to inch its way higher up the mat. One more round of easy breath. And then hands will just come off the belly. Let them rest on either sides of the hips. Plant the feet, lift the hips. Find your first bridge pose of our practice time together. Again, you've got that same length, head pulling up towards the top of the mat. Those knees are in 2 straight lines down your mat, toes straight. Beautiful work there. Making sure those hips are lifted nice and high. Or whatever level feels good. If too high is too high today, you know. Because that same sensation, that same body scan check-in that we did early on, we want to keep coming back to that. Finding the aches, meeting them with breath. Finding the strength, meeting it with breath. Finding the release with the breath. Heels lift, easy, lower down 1 vertebra at a time. Let yourself ease into the mat. And then heels will find each other. Hands reach high up over your head. Let the knees fall out to the side. Take a reclined bound angle with length of spine. So that fingertips are probably reaching towards the wall behind you. Palms, in this case, might be flipped up. That might feel best to the shoulders. The palms of the hands are facing upward. It might feel better to relax at the elbows and create almost a diamond shape above your head. If that feels good, you're certainly welcome to take that shape rather than a big stretch. 1 more easy breath here. And then just let your legs kind of play. See if you can slide the feet down the mat so that the shape goes from bound angle to diamond to more of just a long body stretch. So the legs are completely long. You point through the toes, point through the fingers. Make the body long. The mat. Perfect. Start to bend the knees, bringing the knees all the way up into the chest. Opposite motion now as you are hugged into a tight ball, rocking that right and left. From this ball shape, we're going to roll to our right hand side and stay there for just a moment. So roll to your right, use your right arm as a pillow. Now resting on your right, you should have your left leg on the top. Just go ahead and stretch that left leg long down the mat. Just let it reach towards the end of the mat. Point through the toe, feel the hip flexor rather, opening up a little bit. Bring that knee back in, stack it on top of the other. And this time reach with that top arm, so you're resting on your right arm. Reach with your left arm up over your head towards the top of your mat. Then lift that hand so it points up towards the ceiling. And then let it come down and rest at your hip. Again, reach up towards the top of your mat, maybe even in a circular motion. And then up towards the ceiling. And then let that arm come down by your hip. From here, maybe look for the ground just with the hand for a little support as you push to your back. And now you're going to roll to your left-hand side. Same thing as before, you're resting on the left hip. Right leg goes long, point through that toe. See if you can open that hip flexor just a little bit there. Opposite hand might be on the floor for support or just resting by your side. Bring that knee back in, stack it on top of the other. Opposite arm reaches up, overhead, points, and then it finds ceiling, down by the hip. And a circular motion 1 more time. Reach it up above the head, towards the ceiling, and then back by that hip. This time, hand just comes to ground, and we'll use this to push into the earth and bring yourself up to your seat. Crisscross for a moment, fingers reaching out nice and wide. Find that north-south spine, pulling the head up towards the sky. Close the eyes, full breath. Inhale, take your time, reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, let the right hand fall easy towards the floor. Side body stretch. Inhale, reach fingers up. Exhale, take it easy and over. Inhale, reach the fingers up. Exhale, just hinge and fold over your lap. Perfect. Small steps with those hands. Let them walk back a little closer to you. And we're going to move on to hands and knees, looking for tabletop. For our tabletop pose, we want wrists right under shoulders, knees under hips. And this is a great time to go ahead, make any adjustments to the wardrobe, or just making sure we have props nearby. We're going to probably use these blocks for about the next 3 sequences when we get standing. So we want to keep them close. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, belly drops down on your inhale. Just a couple cat-cows. Make sure that spine is happy. Make sure your breath is connected to the movement you've got flowing in this practice today. No stress. Let everything be easy. Let it stay connected. One. From that cat-cow spine, we'll go ahead and sit back onto our heels. Take your first child's pose of our practice time together. I'm going to keep my arms nice and long. I'm actually going to even go ahead and reach for my blocks just for a little extra shoulder opener today. With my hands rested on the blocks, maybe that feels nice to you as well and you join me. If not, you can just take more of a traditional version. Hands resting on the blocks, sitting hips back a little deeper. You'll feel some nice opening through armpits, upper back, shoulders, maybe even down the side body. Head can hang heavy through the middle, or you can drop that forehead all the way down to the ground. One more breath. Taking into consideration that same body scan, we'll bring ourselves up towards table. Hands might still be on blocks, that's okay. Right foot's just gonna step up between the middle of those blocks, and we'll find ourselves in a low lunge. Maybe it feels nice to put blocks on their mid-height, so not the flattest they can go, but about halfway up. See if you can flatten that back foot. So toenails down into the ground, knee really grounded, and then pull the heart as if you're going to kind of scoop it out through the middle. Dropping the shoulders away from your ears, we'll flip this a little higher. Blocks might walk high, and we'll walk them back even with about your hips. See if we can sink into that front leg just a little bit more. Heart this time is up, lifted, shoulders dropped. Depending on the length of your arms, it might be easy to hold blocks. Some may be on their fingertips. Others may be wishing their blocks were taller or shorter. Depends. All right, walk those blocks back forward on either side of your front foot. Kick the toes up towards the ceiling and sit back into that back knee. Pointing and flexing the toes kind of plays around with different muscle groups. So just experiment here for a moment. It might feel good to point, or maybe it feels better in your calf to flex. Perfect. We're just going to take this front foot and go ahead and flatten it back down to earth. If you've got a set of blocks, put those up here at the front of your mat. Lay them as flat as they can go. Put the palms of your hands so that you're just hanging off the back of the block. You're not using blocks, you can just put them on the ground. We'll curl the toes under on this back foot, lift the knee. And then this front foot's gonna step all the way back and lift it into a 3-legged dog. It's big. Palms of hand resting on those blocks. Drop that foot down, and now you're just a classic down dog. Walk the dog. Feel the difference of having those blocks underneath the palms of the hands, just giving us a little lift, a little height at the hands. Again, observing. Today's practice is really hinging on that body scan. Watching how each pose shifts our awareness within our physical body. Knees start to drop down to earth. We're going to step the left foot up between your hands. Same as you did before, that low lunge. Just settling in, deciding which way is best with those blocks at first. Deciding how this back knee feels on the ground, and then maybe give a little scoop to the heart, just taking it through and up. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, maybe even settle there. Hands start to stand the blocks a little taller. Blocks start to walk back even with your hips. And then sink in. Iliopsoas, this really deep set of muscles, kind of wraps down in the groin area all the way to low back. Hands take their time, they walk back up towards the front. Flex this front foot, sit back into your back knee, play again with those toes. Maybe it feels good to point or to flex. And then just as we did before, this front foot will start to find the mat again. Blocks come up nice and forward towards the front of the mat. Lay them on their lowest side. Hands kind of hanging off the back. You got it. Toes curl under. Low lunge for a breath, and then a big step. Bringing this left foot all the way back and up in the air. Put yourself into a three-legged dog. And with your hands just barely over the edge of those blocks, it kind of anchors them down into the earth, so hopefully they're not slipping underneath of you. Drop that foot back to the earth and walk your dog. You've got a little extra space underneath your hands, so see if you can play with those heels. Can they go down and kiss the mat? This really opens up those hamstrings, backside body. When we do it correctly, we're trying to push our hips back towards that wall behind us. Yep, nice flat back. Trying to stay out of the shoulders and the hands. Looks nice. All right, awaken. Coming to a standing posture, small steps, walking forward, maybe using those blocks. Hang in a forward fold, crown of head is down. Stand your blocks up so that you can come to half lift with a flat back using those blocks. Crown points forward. Exhale, fold, maybe even bend the knees. Let's do that 2 more times, really focusing on gluing the feet strong. Back opening up those hamstrings, drop it down. 1 more time, open the hamstrings. Drop it down. This time as the inhale comes, reach it all the way up to standing. Hands reach above the head, looking for palm to palm, and then hands to the heart. All right, when you feel ready, just a couple half sun salutations. So you're tall, and then you fold. And then you'll come up halfway, and you're back down. And then you're tall. Hands to the heart. Last one, up. And down. You can swan dive or bring the hands to the heart. Half lift. Back down. All the way tall. As you exhale, treat this as a chair pose as we bend the knees and just sink into the chair. See if you can reach for one of those blocks. Bring it up and put it between your knees, and then sit back into the chair. Squeeze that block. And then I want you to forward fold, holding on to the block. Exhale, fold. Lift, hold the block. Exhale, fold. Inhale, go to standing Tadasana or mountain pose, hold the block. Exhale, back to chair. Good, if you still have your block, it's pretty great. Exhale, fold. Keep the block. Inhale, halfway up, hold block. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Last chair pose on your exhale. Keep that block in place. Sink a little deeper. Reach for the block. Back to the earth. Lift the hips, hands go on the block, shake the head, yes. Nice work. All right, planting those feet strong on the ground. Use your inhale breath to bring you back up to standing. Hands open wide, make a cactus with the arms. Hands come to heart, eyes closed. 3 strong, full breaths. You built a little heat in your legs. You should feel that warmth. Let your spine grow tall, north, south. Lift crown towards the ceiling. 1 more breath. Inhale, breath, hands begin to lift high above the head. Lift the right foot up off the ground. And then we'll step this right foot back straight into a big crescent pose or a high lunge. Toes are on the ground, but heel is lifted. Maybe your arms come up. Maybe that feels nice. Sink into that shape. 1 more big breath. Dropping the hands down by your hips, start to turn this back foot so it becomes parallel with the back of your mat. We'll straighten our front knee and look for triangle pose. Now this foot can be completely parallel, or you can let the toes turn just ever so slightly, kind of turning that back hip. Arms reach wide, reach out over that front leg first, and then tip. You've got blocks handy if you want them. Of course, they're there. See if you can keep this arm, nice line from the fingers all the way down to that foot. Thinking about the design on your shirt, opening up to the side. Lots of side body opening here. Softening this front knee, we'll start to come up. Look for warrior 2. So now you're just stretching nice and long out over that knee. Gaze out into the front of the mat. Flip the front hand, reverse warrior, lean away from that front knee, long side body again. Staying steady and strong. Start to cartwheel this a little bit forward, but bring that elbow towards knee, or maybe you've got a block or you reach for the earth. Top hand reaches fingertips straight up the mat. We're looking for lots of length here. Maybe you sink a little more into that front knee and give it a nice bend. Beautiful. Take your time, slowly come back up. Look for that same warrior pose. The hands are going to cartwheel all the way down, either side of this front foot. You've got the blocks handy if you want to flip those and use those as you did before. And do your down dog with some blocks. Go for it. If you don't like the blocks or they're not real handy, just put your hands on the earth and go to down dog. Give yourself a couple walks in the dog. Maybe a 3-legged dog, maybe a hip opener, whatever feels like it makes sense here. So you just take a couple breaths as transition. Of course, if you've had a day and you're ready to drop your knees to the ground and sit in a child's pose for a moment, that's always handy as well. Know your space. Know what you need. Conduct another one of those body scans. Top of head, down the spine, through the legs, to the toes. When you're ready, both feet are back to mat. Small steps with feet. Let them walk forward. If you're using blocks, great. Maybe stand them up. Let your half lift have a little help. Fold. Plant the feet, big inhale, reach up, look up, find cactus again. And then we'll find that steady spine. North-south length, hands palm to palm. Easy breath right here. Not only should you feel the warmth in your legs, but maybe your side wall got a little warm through that sequence. Maybe your shoulders even feel a little heat. Inhale, breath as you feel ready. Hands start to lift as we lift the left knee up off the ground this time. And then we'll take that sequence again, sending that left leg back. You're in a nice tall crescent. Maybe the arms come up. Check those legs. This doesn't have to be one right behind the other. These can have a little space, kind of like railroad tracks rather. All right, when you're ready, an easy spin of this back foot opens it up. Start to think about alignment for a triangle pose. Back foot may be parallel, or you might do a slight inward turn of toes. Arms can reach wide. Start to lean over that front hip crease. Maybe you look for a block for a little assistance here. And then ideally, we're trying to stack this arm in the sky right over the one that's towards the thigh, calf, or earth. Your side body's nice and open here. I'm focusing on kind of opening up with the right edge of my chest, or my left edge rather. Start to soften from this front knee bends. We're looking for warrior two now, so make any kind of alignment adjustments to make sure that warrior two, knee over ankle, arms are stretched wide, gazing forward, looks nice. Gentle bend in that knee. Lean away when you feel ready, palm flips towards sky. And we just kind of invite a little bit of movement backwards. And then as you feel ready, we'll start to cartwheel into that front knee, elbow towards knee, top hand, reaching up and over. Fingers stretching to point towards that back wall or front of the mat. Maybe a little deeper bend in that front knee. Paying attention to knee over ankle if you can. Chest again, sideways. Inhale, breath, come up from this shape, just back to a warrior two. Long enough to think about cartwheeling forward again. Maybe hands go to blocks on their lowest side, flat to earth. Step it back, find that same downward facing dog. Or maybe this time it feels good to try puppy. Knees drop to ground, toes curl under. And instead of trying to push your hips back to your heels, you'll walk your hands forward, drop your chest to the earth, and keep the hips high. Puppy pose is about opening up the chest, the arms. Whereas child's pose is a little bit deeper sunk, back, hips towards heels, different concentration. See where you are for 2 more breaths. Perfect. Inhale, breath. Just take your time. Start to bring those hands up. You might even kind of roll your blocks as you walk them a little closer to you. Come up to high knees. And then I'm going to keep my blocks handy. You can step your right foot out to the side. Left toes are still pointed straight back your mat. It might feel nice to just stay right here for a moment. Others might choose to turn the blocks a little lower. start thinking about bringing their forearms down to rest on the blocks. Now in my case, my foot is flat on the earth. It might feel better to you to flip your toes up towards the ceiling, or just let the side edge of the foot reach out to the side. Of course, if you feel better higher, maybe you don't drop down onto those blocks. Keep a high chest, that's fine too. Give it one more breath. All right, if you've been folded forward, start to bring the heart back up. This leg that's long out to the side, we're just gonna soften it and slide it up the mat. Bring that knee to center. Come up to tall knees, hands go to low back, lift the heart. And then soften the head back down to chest. And just give your hips a little swirl here. Hands look again for those blocks. And then we'll take opposite leg out to the side. This time left foot steps out. Take your time to make sure this knee is staying right underneath the hip. That this leg is out to the side, but it's not too far in front or too far back behind that hip. We don't want any kind of cramping or tension, pinches in the leg. You might decide that it felt good last time to drop down to those forearms and really kind of release a little bit into those adductors, those inner thighs, outer hips. Maybe it felt even nice for the forehead or the head and neck in general, just to kind of hang in space. Or you might be more comfortable a little higher. Wherever you are on that spectrum is okay. Next natural inhale, just take your time, start to walk hands back, look for those blocks. Maybe use a little support from the blocks to help bring this leg back in underneath of you. This time, instead of taking hands to low back, let's see if we can lace them, see how that feels to the heart, the chest. Of course, if lacing doesn't work for us, you can always go back to hands on the low back. Bring the chin down to your chest. And then if you have your hands laced, we're gonna take them to the right hip and then let your right ear fall over towards that right shoulder. Head stands back up nice and tall, let the arms go back behind. Bring them over to the other hip. Left ear to left shoulder. Now, of course, if that's too much for you, you can have something a little more modified. Hand can just be on the hip, other arm can kind of come and touch somewhere along the low back, or you can just be doing hands on hips and just playing with your head and neck. Coming away from that shape, hands reach again behind you, chin lift, heart opens. And then we'll unlace the hands, let the head come back over spine, and just do a nice big shoulder lift and lower. Hands looking for the blocks, walk those back up, place them at the top of your mat, palms on the outer edge, last downward dog sequence, putting yourself nice and high, upside down here with hips lifted towards the sky. You want those hands about shoulder distance apart, fingers are spread wide all over those blocks. Thumbs maybe on one edge, pinky maybe on the other edge. Just take up as much real estate as you can. You experiment with those blocks today. Beautiful. Taking your time, let's drop knees down to earth. Sit back onto your heels, child's pose. Arms can rest on blocks, or you can bring blocks in as a support underneath the forehead. Body scan. Start at the crown of the head. Allow the breath to feel loose and even as it adds a sense of ease from the crown of the head all the way to the tip of the tail. If you've got any tension harboring itself right there along the brow line, maybe you massage it into that block. Maybe you soften the elbows, widen the knees, drop the chest down through the middle. Let go of any remaining tension in the heart, belly, forehead. Lay it all down right here. Those burdens were never yours to carry in the first place, so I laid them down. Place them here on your mat with each cleansing breath. As you feel ready, slowly start to bring yourself up off of earth. The knees are just going to take their time to either fold underneath of you or slide out to the side, moving to your seat. That block you've had at the center of mat, just set it off to the side so it's easy to reach for when we head to our back. If you have a strap handy, this is a good time to find it as well as we move towards the center of the mat. And then when you're ready, strapping the right foot, we'll head back to our backs. So that right foot leads up to the sky. Strap a little bit in each hand. Low back resting at the earth, spine nice and long. And then just take your time. Let the breath perhaps add a little length of the back side of the leg. This right leg starts to feel like it's had a little bit of time here. You can slowly start to transition to the left foot. I'm going to do mine in mid-air if that works for you. Go ahead and see if you can slip that left foot right in there and just take the place of that right. Opposite leg can serve as a kickstand, or again, if you want a little more length, you can certainly let that leg go long. Make your body look like a pair of scissors. how you made the switch before, you're going to just widen the strap a little bit in your hands. And then lift that original foot up to meet this other foot in the strap. So now you've got both feet in the air. I've got my feet a little bit smaller than hip distance. So if hip distance works better for you, you can widen the feet a little farther, but keep just a little bit of space in there. You can bend the knees if you need to. You push through the heels a little bit. A gentle tension should glue that low back down into the ground. And then let your feet get wider. So really relax your strap. Let your feet go maybe a little bit wider than hip distance. Maybe as long as your strap will allow your feet to spread out from one another. Bend the knees a little more. And this starts to look like a big modified happy baby. So if you remember that happy baby we were playing with earlier, 1 foot at a time. So we'll bend the knees so they come down towards your chest. Your feet are flat at the top so that you can keep the strap in place and you just kind of rock around. Maybe it even feels good to straighten the legs. And then ultimately you'll bring them all the way back together. We'll bend the knees, and you'll start to feel the strap just kind of slide off the bottom of the feet. Hug around those knees, rock around. Loosen and soften anything that might be lingering in the low back. And then the right foot will lift to the sky. We're done with the strap, so if you want to kind of gather it and then just set it off to the side, you certainly can. Right foot is lifted. Left foot comes down to earth, left knee is bent. Right foot comes over and places itself towards the top of that left knee. Create a pigeon on your back, a little figure 4 shape. You can kind of rock around a little bit or invite the foot up off the ground, grabbing around the back of the thigh. Pointing and flexing toes again, letting the head sway, shoulders relax. Getting a nice, good stretch for the piriformis. A little therapy for the low back as well. So you rest here for about 4 or 5 more breaths. As much as you can, soften the muscles of your face, your eyes, your cheeks, your chin. Slowly starting to unwind that particular side, bringing the feet back down, and then just take similar measures to switch it up. Left foot to the sky, left foot comes over towards that right knee. Maybe you rock around a little bit as you did before, or just start to move. Maybe knee in a little closer to the chest. Hands might reach around the back side of the thigh. resting here just as you did before for about 4 or 5 more breaths. Slowly working your way out of that stretch with the piriformis, bringing the feet back down towards the earth. And then just listen. No longer to me, just to your own body. What other final movements seem like they would make sense? Is there anything else that your body is requesting in these closing moments of today's practice? If the answer is no, you can take your time to find whatever version of final rest Savasana speaks to you. Traditionally, we'll have those legs nice and long, heels on the earth, toes rolled towards outer edges, shoulders down away from the ears, hands out, palms flipped, back resting into the earth. Perhaps another visit through that body scan is what you need in these moments. Take your time to find whatever restful state feels best to you, knowing that the sound of my voice will call you back when it is time. Bringing attention to the top of your head, slowly move it down to your throat, your heart, your belly, your lower abdomen, your hips, your thighs, all the way down to your feet. Notice what kind of energy is present in each part of your body, as if you were shining a spotlight on what's happening inside you. Notice if you feel any stagnant energy or pain. Was that shifted or released in today's practice? And then imagine that you're channeling the breath to that specific area, bringing attention and ease to anything you may need to be released. Rest here, present in breath, with an open heart. Slowly allowing your body to become aware of the breath. Allow it to invite in some gentle movements, maybe to the fingers or to the toes. Allow the head perhaps to sway a little bit right, left. Easy movements, perhaps bending the knees, letting them move in a little closer to the body. Maybe rolling to the right hand side, resting in a side lying savasana, using that right arm as a pillow. And then working your way to your seat only when you feel ready. No rush. Once you found that seat, hands rest palm to palm, maybe even bringing thumbs in a little closer to the heart. Feel the length of the breath, fill the lungs with air, and then release. I greatly appreciate you allowing your body to go on this journey today, to become aware of all parts, to scan from the top to the bottom, to assess what we find and see how we can nurture ourselves. These small little elements of self-care are so important. Again, I greatly appreciate you practicing alongside me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much.